So this is week 4 of working through all of these processes, of looking at what we can do here this summer in August to take our vibration to another level, to take it higher. And as we go through these 4 today, I think you're going to see what I love about this teaching and what Abraham taught is that it's not just about taking spiritual work and putting it aside. It's about our whole life, right? It's about the mental, the physical, relationships, our relationship vibration to money. And all of that together has brought us to a place where we can raise our vibration so that we can see a different life. We can manifest different things in our lives. And I think you're going to see that especially today in these 4. It's very interesting how, as I said earlier, how they're put together. But the last one today I consider the most important in that we can use it every minute of every day. As we go through this, there's going to be some in here that strike close to home. Typically in a unity or in a spiritual center, we don't talk a lot about our physical environment, but we're going to talk about that today. So that's what I love about what Abraham does, is he makes sure that we're looking at all aspects of our lives. And remember, again, Tuesday night, we're having our Going Deeper to Go Higher class right here in the sanctuary from 7 to 8:30. We've been having a lot of fun with this whole process of finding out different aspects of the way other people are using it and sharing it. And a lot of the sharing has been really been neat for me to hear how people were implementing the different processes. So the basis of this whole teaching for August is that the universe is a vibrational universe. We know that through quantum physics. And as we're seeing quantum physics and spirituality come together, we also now know we're vibrational beings, not just spiritual. We vibrate. We vibrate at a frequency. Every thought, and then magnified by our feelings, create the vibration of what we begin to attract. It's that whole universe of the comeback universe. The whole concept of karma is built into that, and we've been using that as we go through this section. Einstein said this: nothing happens in the universe until something moves. We are the ones that create movement within ourselves. We can sit still and nothing will change from where we are today. But as we create the change by vibrationally shifting and beginning to move, that's how we see things manifest and come back to us. And we're going to see that in all aspects of our life today. I think it's pretty cool. Abraham, as we talked about, is challenged work. We talked about that early. It's not one being. It's a collective consciousness of wisdom that was brought about 20-some years ago. So this is a process that we've been working through. I've been asked to highlight a couple that I use in my spiritual coaching on my own life because someone said to me, I'm getting overwhelmed, there's too many of them. And I said, well, wait till we get to 22. You're going to see plenty here to pick from and work from. But I highlighted these that I have seen most people use and that I've used. And last week I was trying to highlight only 2 of 4, but last week I had to go with 3. The scripting, the placemat process, it wouldn't be nice if. I had a couple emails this week from people who were overwhelmed and all of a sudden whipped out the placemat process and said it was like everything just cleared up for me. And I began to see things move. So these processes work if we work them. So let's begin with where we are today. Process number 13. Which thought feels better? Now this whole teaching and what we're understanding is, remember, our feelings create a magnitude and amplify the vibrations. So the question is always being, what do I want and what makes me feel good? So this process is for you to get more focused and more attention on what actually feels good. And I'm going to show a process that he talks about. So this is when you want to be consciously aware of how you feel right now, in this moment. And best used when your emotional set point is somewhere between positive expectation and anger. So you can see, remember number 7, contentment is the baseline of positive. So we're deep into the negative that this can be used and can turn your your moment around, your day around very quickly if you're willing to use this process. This is something that I have not seen taught very well or much, or maybe not at all, by other than Abraham's teaching, is whenever you begin to create a desire, as he says, send up a rocket of desire, there's always two ends to the stick. If you're talking about health, or you're talking about money, or you're talking about relationships, or you're talking about your life, there's always two ends to it, what you want and what you don't have. And many times, if we're not clear in our focus and our attention, we think we're talking about something that we really want when our focus is on what we really do, the absence of it. This I see a lot in my coaching around money. It's one that easily slides that way. You know, this is what I want, this is what my desire is. Oh, but I don't have enough money. Well, the oh, but I don't have enough money becomes the vibration. And we think we're doing the good work, and we're really vibrating and bringing and enhancing the absence of or what we don't have. So remember, anytime you have a desire, there's two ends of the stick, and that's what this process is all about to recognize. I got this graphic because it kind of, for me, sets it up. There's two ends to the magnet. There's the positive and there's the negative. And every time we have a desire, we want to remember this to be able to take our focus and our attention. Because what have we learned about our focus and attention? That's where the energy flows. And that's where we begin to vibrate. So there's a process here we'll take through and we'll look at. So many people will say, well, I wanted this for a very long time. Why hasn't it happened yet? What's the strong vibration here? The strong vibration is on the absence. Right? You say, well, yeah, but it's a fact. Well, if we're going to continue to live in facts only, then we will continue to get only what the fact is. In this particular case, this person was saying what they're going to continue to get is why it hasn't happened yet, not what they say they want. It gets overwritten. It's called split energy. And we see and hear ourselves do this, and other people do it all the time. And that's what we want to be aware of, is we bring the focus, bring the attention only on what our desire is, and only on what makes us feel good, is we begin to vibrate in that, and then that's what we attract back. So this is a subtle piece of the teaching that I haven't seen taught very well along the way. So for instance, if you're talking about health, and you're talking about what's wrong, you're bringing more what's wrong with the health. And again, you say, well, but that's the reality. That's what I'm dealing with. That's the truth. This is what I feel. But the key is, if you want to vibrate and manifest something different than what you're experiencing, you're going to have to bring your focus and attention to something new. Better feeling. Better thought. Better feeling. Okay? So how do we know what our vibrational attraction point is? You all know this answer by now, I hope. It's how you feel. If you're feeling good about what you're focusing on and what you're bringing in, and that vibration means you're in alignment then with your higher self and with the divine energy. If you're not feeling good about it, then you are off the beam. And you got to do the work to get back on the beam, so you begin, if it feels good, you're attracting alignment with your higher self and what you want. If you're not about it, then you've got to do some work to get back in alignment with it, or you're going to continue. And we're going to talk again about the timing of this. So when to play this game? Anytime you're feeling negative, anytime you're feeling not good, you want to go here. It's one of the places to go. Because we have to recognize this, understand this. When we have a negative emotion, it's an indicator of our personal resistance to what we say we want. Right? It's the indicator within us of our resistance. When we're in resistance, we do not attract, because we're not in allowing to receive. And so when you're feeling that, know immediately that you are in putting up a block of resistance, and it's the only thing holding you back from receiving what you want. So we talked about this almost every week now through August. Becoming more and more self-aware in your gut, in your belly, what's going on with my emotions. Because those emotions that you're having in this moment is your GPS for what's going on within you. Are you in alignment with your higher self? Are you in alignment with what's best for you? Are you in alignment with what makes you feel good? And if not, you're going to feel it. And the more you become aware and the more sensitive to that feeling, that GPS that leads you back to quickly getting in a place that will get you in line. So the first thing you want to do in this process is, and I know almost every one of these, and you get tired of me saying it, write it down. Get it out of here, get it on the physical. It helps you clarify, and it helps you see what you're going through. And as you begin to write down how you feel, you want to amplify the feelings. This is not a place to be sweet and nice. This is about getting real about how you feel. And as you begin to put it on paper, you're going to see a process begin to develop. So the example he used in the book, I use here. So this mother and daughter are having a major fight over her room and how messy the house is, and she never does anything, and she doesn't do her chores. And I mean, I know none of you here have ever had this experience, right? And so step one was to write down how she felt. My daughter is deliberately trying to make my life difficult. I don't know if you've ever had that conversation in your head or not. She doesn't care about me at all. She doesn't come close to doing her share of the work. I would say mom right now is not vibrating in a really good place, right? But that's what I said early on when I read that little thing. We want to keep it real because these things come up. Sadness does come up. Grief does come up. Depression does come up. Anger, irritation, worry, anxiety do come up in this planet of lessons. So what do you do with something when you're in this place is you begin to write it down. And this woman, this mother, wrote down exactly what she was saying in her head. Now again, this is not for public display. This is for you dealing with it within yourself. So then you make the statement as I'm going to reach for some thought that feels better. And you can actually write that in the journal. And then begin to look for something that feels better. Not every one of them is going to work. For example, well, she never listens to me. That's kind of the same energy, right? Same vibration. Next one, I should have taught her better. Worse. Normal. You're reaching for something better and you're going to go, well, it's kind of the same, or no, it's even worse than what I was doing. But finally she began to get to play, a clean house is important to me. Well, that's a little bit better. I remember when she was so sweet, young little thing, and never talked back. I'm sure the moms in here never had those conversations, right? And I wish she still was worse. So what I wanted to show today is this is the natural process that if you're serious about doing this and trying to grab a better thought that creates a better feeling, you're going to have these movements. You're going to get a better thought and it gets worse, and then you say, well, it's kind of the same. And this is the process as you process this so you can begin to get clear into something better. Well, this mom stayed with it. Well, I don't have to figure it all out right now. Better. There are many things about her I adore. Better. I know there's more to life than just a clean house. Better. It's okay that I want a clean house, and better. So I didn't know how else to show this process, but everyone's going to have a unique way to go through this. But I'm telling you, if you will try it, the next time you feel yourself in a state of what you do not want, just begin to write honestly what you're thinking, because there's some power in this. You think when mom was at this place and she looked back and thought, wow, I've really made a movement here. I have moved my vibration. I have made a shift in how I'm feeling about my daughter, but how about how she's feeling about herself? Went up the vibration, went up the emotional pyramid to a higher place. And that's all we can do in our spiritual journey, every day. When these things show up, remember last week we talked about the segment, intending in the different segments of our lives. As we go through our days, we're going to find places where this happens, and we have a process now to work through it. But there was a question asked in the book: how are my thoughts going to help my daughter? I see how they help me. And this is a quote from Abraham. Your thoughts change the behavior of everyone and everything around you. Your vibration, your point of attraction, improves or makes it worse for you and everyone around you. You all know this is true, don't you? We've all seen what happens when we're in a restaurant and there's a kid just wailing. And you can sit there and be relaxed, and you can begin to bring a vibration of calm and peace and love. And within minutes, the energy comes down, the waitresses and waiters calm down, and the child gets happy. You and I affect everyone around us at the level we're vibrating, at the level of our point of attraction. And you can see just in this little example where mom went from so uptight and so upset with daughter to a place where she was feeling better. Do you think the relationship between daughter and mom got better? I'm sure of it. And as time goes on, what is she showing the daughter? A way to process upsettedness. A much more powerful way than most of us have been taught of pitching a fit. Right? So that's what this process is all about, to be able to do that. So what feels better, to appreciate or condemn? Or to applaud what you've done? Now this is the one where we're kind of hard on ourselves. I hear this all the time coaching folks. They'll do some really great things, I compliment them, they'll go, well, yeah, but I didn't do all this. Right? What feels better? To applaud what you've done or be critical what you haven't finished? If you become critical of yourself, what you haven't finished, what are you going to bring more of? What you haven't finished, right? Now, I see some looks, and some people know they do this, don't you? I know I do. This is the ability that we're worthy enough to applaud and cheer what we've done. And we did the very best we could that day, and we did all that we could. As we applaud that, what's going to happen? We're going to bring more and more of that to us. And not spend the time in being critical self-judgment of ourselves or others. It allows the energy to flow naturally. Remember, as Abraham said, we're like a cork. When we take these restrictions, when we take these limits and lacks off of us, we naturally begin to float as a cork up the emotional channel. Process number 14. This is the process of clearing clutter for clarity. This is when you're feeling stressed due to your disorganization. Human beings have a tendency to move to disorganization, into clutter. And Abraham addresses it in this process, which I think, as I said early on in the beginning, what I love about this is that he addresses all areas of our lives, bringing us to a place where we can get cleaner and clearer and be able to move on. Again, the emotional set point here is somewhere between positive expectation and anger. Now, this is a direct quote from Abraham. Because everything carries its own vibration, and because you develop a vibrational relationship with everything in your life, your personal belongings do have an impact on the way you feel and your point of attraction. We all know this is true, don't we? We know the difference of the feeling when we have our office, our car, our home in a place of no clutter. What happens to our minds? They get clear. Our physical, what Abraham's saying is our physical environment is a manifestation of what's going on in our heads. If we have disorganization in our lives, in our physical space, if everything's in disarray, it's an indication of what's going on within our own minds. And the way to turn that around is begin to change it and begin to clear it up and get rid of the clutter. Now, I've done this coaching with a lot of people because I'll say, take one drawer, go home today, take one drawer and organize one drawer. Why? Because that's not overwhelming. To say, go home and do the whole house, people are like, yeah, that'll take a year and a half, right? But take one drawer, get started, and get the feeling what it feels like to move to a place of clarity. And then you begin to get momentum and go to the next step. Well, Abraham, and this is a picture of feng shui, which is, I love this teaching. You can do a lot of YouTube on it and Google it. It's a teaching that the Chinese and the Taoists used to align our physical environment with the different energies within the physical world. And you can learn all about this. I mean, it's a whole study and you get really in depth in it. But there's some very good things about it that I just love, and I found that I can feel the change when I make the change in the room. So just look it up, feng shui, and you can learn everything you want about it. So clutter in the physical environment creates a vibration of clutter within you. That's a different way than I just said it. If you are in an environment of clutter, it's creating a vibration of clutter within you. What are you going to bring more of in all aspects of your life? If you're vibrating at a level and frequency of clutter, you will bring more clutter and confusion into your life, all aspects, financially, relationship, career, whatever it might be. Why do people have difficulty? And you identify two here. Number one, someone in the past got rid of something and they found out 3 months later they needed it. And it's like, well, I'm not going to get rid of anything again. That creates clutter, right? Or the second one is it just takes too much time for me to go do this very thing. So this process that he put together will help you if someone who wants to get started. I've actually used this for myself, and it's amazing how quickly you can organize your life. He says, go out and get 20 banker boxes. You know what they are with the handles and the little lids. Get them at Staples or Walmart or wherever. He says, get the recorder on your iPhone. Well, I've added that in because he had, go get a tape recorder. Well, we don't need tape recorders anymore. You all got them on your iPhone. And get a set of alphabetic index cards, A through Z. And that's all you need to get complete control of the clutter. So quickly you make 3 piles. This pile gets thrown away, this pile gets given to community aid, and this pile I'm going to keep. You can go through a whole room in a matter of minutes, you can have 3 piles. So the pile that's going to get thrown out, you got a great big old black garbage bag, put it in, it's ready to go to the garbage, done. The one that's going to go to community aid, get another big black bag, ready to go to community aid. The what you want to keep is where we can quickly go through this process. So you number all boxes 1 through 20. Right? Put the lids underneath, they're all open, laying open. 1, 2, 3, 4 to 20. And you begin to pick up in total random everything that's laying there that you want to keep. And you read it into your recorder. Box number 1, unopened guitar strings. Box number 3, or whatever it is. And read it into the recorder, whatever you're saving. That's how quick it goes. Pick it up, speak. Pick it up, speak. No thought given to it, no organization to it, just get it in a box. When you fill up one box, go to the next one. Fill up 2, until you get all 20 boxes filled. So on a quiet, rainy day like today, you transcribe your recorder over to the alphabetical cards. So as you're going through and listening, well, A has, and B, the bathing suit is in box 3, and the old cell phone is in box 5. And as you write it on the alphabetically on the cards, you're going to have what it is and what box it's in. And you can quickly go through that whole recording, and you'll know in your mind, I didn't throw away anything that I'm going to need. It's in the boxes 1 through 20, and anytime I need anything, I just go to my alphabet card and say, okay, it's F, and that item of F is in box 8. Right? Then you take the 20 boxes and put them someplace safe in the garage or in a room that you're not using. you're done. No more clutter anywhere. Now, something very interesting happens. Now, when you go through this process and all of a sudden you have no clutter in your physical environment, you're going to start what? Vibrating in a different place. Clarity starts happening. And what's going to happen through the process, you're going to recognize 3 weeks later or 3 months later, you know, I didn't take one thing out of box 8 in 6 months. Do I really need to keep that? Mm-mm. So you start going through box 8 and you say, okay, this item gets thrown away, this item goes to community 8. Bam, the box is gone, and now you have box 8 for anything else that comes in the house that you don't know where to put. And this process over a period of 6 months will get you completely organized. You will give away everything you haven't used in 6 months, and you will know where everything is that you might have so you don't have to go out and buy it. But in the process, you will begin to bring clarity into your mind like you haven't. It's not an overwhelming process. And it gives you just enough structure to get over the hump, to get it cleaned up, and start to feel what it feels like to bring clarity into your physical environment and also into your mind. Abraham gave this at the very end. He said, discard everything from your experience that is not essential to your now. Oh my. How much do we hold on from the past? And how much do we hold on that we might need it in the future? And what he's saying, some of you getting emptied out some stuff here if you're going to follow what Abraham says. Only what's essential to your now. Why? Because this is where we want to live, in the now. And not locking ourselves entangled with all this physical coming from the past to the future. Everyone has the capacity for attraction of what you want, but when your process is clogged with stuff that you no longer want, the new attraction is slowed way down. The energy, the frequency, the vibration comes down, down, down. Give it a try. See what happens. And finally, Abraham says this, imagine yourself in an environment of great clarity, a space with immense order. How would you feel? How would you feel if that were true? The feeling is relief. It sounds like a massive task. It's not. But the benefit on the back end of it is immense. So give it a try. All right, process number 15 today is the wallet process. This is when you want to attract more money into your experience. Again, what I love about Abraham is not allowing anything out. This is between 6 hopefulness and 16 discouragement. So again, when you're deep into the negative over money, this is a great way to turn your vibration around immediately. A lot of people focus on the lack of money without even being aware of it. They'll say things like, I can't afford it. What are you vibrating to? Can't afford it. So what he's trying to do in this is help all of us raise our level around money and our vibration around it. So he says, go out and get a $100 bill. Put it in your purse or wallet and don't spend it. Don't spend it, just keep it there. And every time you think of it, a $100 bill in your purse or your wallet, think about what you could buy with it. And so what's happening is he's using this to shift the vibration to, well, I could buy this with it, I could buy that. Not that I can't afford it now, but that the possibility is, but I may not buy it right now, it could be later, but the possibility is that I could buy it. And in your imagination, as you go through the day, spend the $100 bill over and over and over again in your mind, all day long. Begin to look for things to spend it on. Switches the vibration. And meanwhile, you still have the $100 bill. But we're talking now vibrationally, right? The universe does not know the difference between your vibration and your imagination, which feels right, feels good, will attract. Doesn't know the difference. So this is a way to take your vibrational level to a much higher level by looking through everything that I can begin to afford and begin to buy. And you receive the vibrational advantage every time you think of it. It switches. And as you build that switch, you're building a higher place of abundance and a higher place of, yes, I'm worth all of that that's there. You see, you do not have to actually be abundant in order to attract abundance, but you do have to feel abundant. And this process is for you to take it to another level, to feel more abundant. Any feeling of lack of abundance causes a resistance, which does not allow abundance to flow. So again, we've talked about resistance for us allowing, and we create one or the other. And as we move from resistance, limit, and lack to a place of allowing and acceptance, we move into a place of abundance. Someone said, Abraham says, well, you can't get much with $100 these days. And his answer was, if you mentally spend it 10 times during the day, you just spent $1,000. If you want to spend it 50 times, 100 times. So the idea is not, exactly what the amount is. This idea is taking the focus off of I can't afford it, or it's too much money, or all of those things that are resistance statements and feelings and vibration, and moving to a place that I can do it. That's what this is all about. By mentally spending the money again and again, you practice the vibration of well-being, security, and abundance. Places we all want to live and be part of. The way you feel is your point of attraction, and the universe always says yes. If you're feeling like lack, if you're feeling resistance, the universe goes, okay, Dan doesn't want to see this. The universe goes, yes, and I never see it. Okay? Another way to change around the money issue. This is number 16, and this is the one I feel is the most important, which I find so interesting that it's this far in the book. I was telling the Tuesday night group that I buy a lot of spiritual and coaching books used. Why do I buy them used? I save a lot of money, number one, and I get a lot of books. But the one thing I found is probably 80 or 90% of the books, people who bought them underline chapter 1 a lot, chapter 2 less, and somewhere in chapter 3 they stop. 80 or 90% of the books out there never get read beyond chapter 3. So this is hidden way back in 16. I'm like, no one ever saw this. And to me, it's the most important process in so far that is taught. So when you're aware that a statement you just made is opposite of what you want to attract into your experience. Now maybe I'm the only one that does this, thinks of something I don't want or says it, but this is for you if you do. And he calls it pivoting, and I love this process. Again, it's between 8 boredom and 17 anger. It's always in the negative part of the environment, of the emotional grid. So pivoting is the first step to begin to challenge your vibration. And what I like about this is it's when the rubber's on the road, it's when we're living, it's in the midst of our day, we can use this process to change it around. So whenever you hear yourself think or say something that you do not want for your life, pivoting allows you to begin to change it. Now, all of us that are on this spiritual journey are still going to think and say things that we really don't want, right? They show up. And it's like, what do I do about that? What do I do in that moment? Because if you remember back to the beginning of this teaching, Abraham says you've got 17 seconds when you're in a thought that it becomes a feeling. And at 68 seconds, that feeling begins to use the law of attraction to attract it. The good news is not every thought and not everything we say turns into manifestation coming back to us. We have time to intercede and change it, and that's what this is about. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm not going to count it out for you, but 17 seconds isn't a long time. I mean, you repeat something you don't want about 3 times, you're into 17 seconds and more. And you repeat it about 5 or 6 times, you're into about 68 seconds. And you're beginning to attract that back into your life. So we don't have a lot of time, but we have time. And whenever you do, this is where you want to pivot. When you hear yourself and you say to yourself this is not what I want for myself. Stop yourself immediately with that statement. This is not what I want for myself. And ask the question, what do I want? Immediately you're going to shift and pivot, he calls it. Pivot to what you do want. Now that is not what you and I have been trained to do. We've been trained to chew on that negative like a bone, don't we? We're way past 68 seconds. And we begin to attract what we don't want. So this is a device that takes it, when you hear it in your mind or you begin to say it, you can immediately pivot into what you do want. Stop yourself, ask the question, or make the statement, this is not what I want for myself. And as you begin to do this, it becomes a new habit. It takes a while. But you're going to find yourself more and more becoming self-aware of thinking and making statements of what you do not want in your life. And you're going to say, no, that needs to go. And you pivot to what you do want and what feels good. So again, this is what I just said. It's not set up the first time you think it. It's not set up the first time you say it. We have some time. When I really went through and I measured 17 seconds, and I would invite you to try that this week, just look at your phone or look at a watch and give me 17 seconds and recognize that's the time you have to take a thought and make it not a feeling. It's time, not a lot. And at 68 seconds, it begins to put the law of attraction to work, to bring back to you what you just said that you want. So by pivoting to what we want and repeating it until we feel it, we then set off a rocket of desire for that. That's how we move from what we don't want and can instantly move to what we do want. The key is to hold that thought till you feel it. You know, if I say that's not what I do, I don't want that for my life, I want peace. I can't just say peace. I've got to hold that thought and feel the peace. And then in 68 seconds, I begin to attract that back to me. So be aware of the timings. Again, have time, but we own the responsibility to change it for ourselves. No one else can do it but you and me for our own selves. I said this is a powerful process and it's used while we're living. We can do it as we leave here today. All right? I don't know about you, but I can have the most incredible service. I go out here and when I go to pull out, someone cuts me off. I can vibrate differently than when I left here. Pretty quickly. And I can immediately go, wait a minute, this is not what I want for me. And I want to get back to the peace that I was feeling. And it allows you to change it as you go. It's also very powerful when you're with someone and you say something you really don't want, and we all will do that. And you can just say, wait a minute, stop, and say to them, you know, that's not what I want. That's not really what I want for my life. You're going to teach them. They're going to watch you, and they're going to see the change in you by willing to be courageous enough to take a step and say, wait a minute, I'm not going to continue going down that old path. I'm going to switch right here, right now. And they're going to stand back and they're going to look at you a little differently. And they're going to say, wait a minute, I see how that helped them, and I can put it in play. The more you pivot from the unwanted to the wanted, you build new habits, new vibrations, new patterns for yourself. And they will override the old ones that we had. Whether we're domesticated or we picked it up from whoever, whatever it might be, this gives us the ability to change all that. When you are not feeling good, this is the best place to identify what you do want. Don't condemn yourself for not feeling good. Say, oh, here's my signal. This is not what I want. What do I want? And immediately you can pivot. So don't get upset with yourself when you're not feeling good. Recognize it's your signal to shift. It's your signal to pivot. And immediately when you begin to pivot, you can be like the cork, you begin to rise up into more what feels better and what you want. And you can say things like this to yourself, I want to be in a place of positive attraction. I think we all do, right? We just forget in the midst of the day and going through what we normally do. And this is another one to remember. When my thinking and my feeling good are in harmony, I know I'm always in alignment with my greater awareness or my higher self. the Christ self, Buddha nature, whatever word that you want to use for that. Keeps us in alignment with what's best for us, what's good as we go forward. Feeling bad, stop. I want to feel good. Remember the Old Testament, command ye me. We command the universe what we want, instead of just running down the old path to what we don't want. So this week we have these processes. What I welcome you to do is pick one or two. And if you are not sure which one, I would go right to 16. For me, it's the most powerful one that I've learned. And I try to use it every day, is pivot. Whenever something shows up, I don't feel good, I pivot to what I do want. Okay? Find one, try it out, and see how it works. If it doesn't, then try another one. And I love hearing the emails of folks that are, this week I got a whole bunch of them, and it was really, really neat to see. Okay? All right, so we're going to go into our short time of decreeing and then into the meditation. As you know, we decree to establish something unto ourselves, and then the light will shine upon our paths. So please stand, and we'll do them together, and then we'll move into the quiet time meditation.